We welcome you to the West Coast Conference this week. It is presented by Geico, and we come to you today from the campus of Santa Clara University. Our first WCC game of the week. It's the Portland Pilots and the Santa Clara Broncos. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. A pleasure once more. Share the microphone on these West Coast Conference games of the week with Casey Jacobson. And Casey, as you look back on last year, it was Gonzaga. Just kind of ran roughshod through the West Coast Conference. Still, people are talking about the Zags as being number one, but, you know, could have some company up there.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, the top is still very good, as it has been in years past, but Gonzaga, with the news now that Shemek Karnowski is lost for the season due to back surgery, changes things a little bit, Barry. I think there's a lot of teams like BYU and St. Mary's who are looking, is this our chance to finally knock off the Zags?
Talk to me a little bit about St. Mary's. This is a team that has gotten out of the blocks extremely quickly, and they're looking like the real deal right now.
They are 11-1 in conference. They are 10-0 at home in McKeon Pavilion. That's a key thing for them this season. But Barry, it's more than that. This team offensively is humming. They lead the country in field goal percentage, and they lead the country in assist to turnover ratio, one of my favorite things, because not only do they move the ball, but they make great decisions.
I want to ask you a little bit about Pepperdine. This is a team that was picked very highly in the West Coast Conference race this year, and they're still trying to find themselves. Starting out conference play 0-2.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, 0-2 is certainly not where they want to be right now, but it's just 0-2. We have a long conference season to go, and if I know anything about Stacey Davis, this guy is going to respond. And also, Jeremy Major, I like his heart. I like the way he leads this team. Wait till they get some games in Firestone Fieldhouse under their belt.
Well, they're going to get one today. Let's take a look at what is on the schedule in the West Coast Conference on this Saturday, the second Saturday of conference play. Portland here at Santa Clara. BYU will be up in Pacific, and they can be tough at home. LMU is at Pepperdine. That's the game we talked about. The Peps have got a hold serve there, and LMU, they're kind of a mystery right now. San Diego will be at St. Mary's. St. Mary's has been playing great at home. That's all there is to say. And Gonzaga plays at USF. And Casey, USF has given the Zags problem in San Francisco.
Yeah, they're a tough basketball team. They're led by Tim Dirksen, who's one of the toughest guys you'll see in the WCC Conference. And USF is coming off a monster win against Portland. They got drilled in the first half, but they showed that dawn heart, and they came back and scored about 50 points in that second half to get a win.
All right, let's talk about the game that we have here at Santa Clara today. Backcourt battle, to be sure. Alex Wintering coming off back-to-back 30-point-per-game performances for Portland.
Barry, he's only 5'11", but don't tell him that. He plays like a monster out there, and he's averaging 17 points per game, which is 6th best in the conference. But he doesn't just do it from the three-point line. He breaks you down at will, and he can also mix it up with the bigs. As you see right here, penetration, he doesn't mind the contact and finish.
All right, for Santa Clara, it's also all about the backcourt. And one of our favorite guys, really, to be fair, in the West Coast Conference. This kid's an all-conference player on the floor and off the floor. Talking about Jared Brownridge.
Yeah, he's probably going to be sitting next to us in a couple of years.
No question. He's going to have both our jobs.
But Jared Brownridge is the leading scorer in the WCC Conference as we sit right now at over 20 points per game, and he does it in different levels. He can pull up and shoot from three. He's got a nice medium-range game. He can get to the rim, and he's probably the best in the conference at getting to the foul line.
Let's talk about tempo in this game and how it's going to be played. Eric Reveno's team, all of a sudden they're running the ball up and down the floor. They scored 95 in a losing effort at USF.
Well, Portland last year was dominant inside with Thomas Vandermars and Valdi Garoon. Those guys have graduated, and so now Portland's had to adjust their style. They are now up and down, and they launch threes.
So who is going to control tempo in this game could be a real factor toward deciding who's going to win this game. It's Portland and Santa Clara, our first West Coast Conference game of the week. There's a lot more to talk about in the West Coast Conference, and when we come back from this commercial break, Kelly and the coach are going to tell you everything you need to know and probably a little bit more.
Welcome back to WCC This Week, presented by Geico in Los Angeles. I'm Kelly Tennant alongside the coach, Dave Miller. Hey, Coach. All right, let's go ahead and get to the conference highlights from earlier this week. We start with BYU and St. Mary's. BYU at St. Mary's. This is the Cougars' first conference game of the season. Picking things up in the second half. Calvin Hermanson started to heat up. Sweet lefty stroke. Three-pointer puts them up 4. All right, so then St. Mary's up 5. It's Hermanson wide open in the opposite corner, Coach. This is amazing.
Memo to the defense. The guy in the white headband can shoot it. Feet set. Great lefty release. Somebody better get out there and contest.
So good. I'm digging the glasses, too. All right, next Gales possession. Here it comes again.
Oh, no.
Oh, same exact spot.
Hey, call 911. This guy's on fire.
He was 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. 6 minutes to play. Gales up 8. Defense to offense off the block shot. Hermanson runs the floor. This time, he changed it up, takes it to the rim. He finished with 21. St. Mary's wins 85-74. They remain undefeated in conference play. All right, so Coach, Kyle Collinsworth had sort of a rough shooting night, going 4 of 15 versus St. Mary's. So how important is his success to the success of his team?
Well, he's key. We know he has those 7 triple-doubles, but because he does so many things, it's paramount that he gets going. Off the bounce, they need him to play make, and because he's 6'6" with his size, he can see over most defenders. He's also their best defender. He's an excellent rebounder for his position, a stat sheet stuffer. He's got to be the catalyst both offensively and defensively. They like to get up and down the floor and score, but the key for him is to get others involved and then be that head of the snake, because at his size, he's so pesky. And the one thing BYU needs to improve on is their team defense, and it starts with Kyle.
All right, a little pressure on Kyle. We take you to another highlight. This one, Gonzaga versus Santa Clara. Santa Clara looking for their first conference win, hosting Gonzaga. Jared Brown averaging 25 points per contest. Skip ahead late to the second half. Broncos down 3. Here's Brownridge coming off the screen, creating space. He knocks down the 3. Ties the game at 67. A couple minutes later, still tied. Domantas Sabonis getting to the rim. An easy 2. Zags up 2. And then under 2 minutes to go, it's Kyle Wilcher. Little step back near the elbow. He finished with 20.
You know he's 7 foot. Man, he's got game.
He's got game. After exchanging some free throws down the stretch, Zags up 1 with 2 seconds left. Josh Perkins misses the free throw, but gets his own rebound. Gonzaga hangs on 79-77. All right, so the big man, Przemek Karnowski, is out this year for Gonzaga. How much of an effect is that on this team?
Well, it's huge. You know, I nicknamed him the Polish pit bull.
Yes.
And he set the tone defensively for this Gonzaga team. And he's really unique because he's a 4-year player that could have bolted and left for the pros a couple times. But each year he wanted to come back and improve to get better offensively, defensively. And you can't forget this. He was part of the 2 winningest seasons ever in Gonzaga basketball history. So I don't know how you replace him, but I know this, that Wilcher and Sabonis are going to have plenty and ample opportunity to get their game off, because this was a guy that was just big. He was a lane occupier. He will be missed.
He does, of course, a lot for this team, but Coach Few's so good, he'll figure it out, I am sure. All right, our next highlight, Portland and San Francisco. USF looking to hand Portland their first WCC loss. The Pilots led by as many as 14. Tim Dirksen with the layup to bring it within 5, part of a 17-4 USF run. Later in the second half, score tied at 89. Dirksen with the finish and the foul. San Francisco takes the lead. 3.5 minutes left. Don's up 1. Devin Watson finds Dirksen on the basket. Dirksen had a career-high 27, and San Francisco beats Portland 107-95. And we take you to San Diego and Pacific.
I wish you took me to San Diego.
I wish I could. Close game throughout, Coach. San Diego up 1 with 6 minutes left in the second half. Elias Theodoru with the 3. Pacific takes the lead. Less than a minute left. Pacific leads by 6. Marcus Harris gets his 3-point attempt blocked, but Ray Bowles takes it the other way for the dunk. He had a game-high 19. Final second free throw is missed. Vasa Pusita gets the board and hits the 3-quarter shot court prayer, but it wouldn't matter. Pacific wins to 75. And here is a look at the conference standings. St. Mary's at the top, 3-0. Gonzaga 3-0. With St. Mary's, San Francisco, Portland, Pacific all at 2-1. So we'll be seeing how the rest of those teams fare moving forward. All right, so coaches and players spend a lot of time together, long hours in the gym, on airplanes and buses, lots of time to chat at lunches and dinners. For seniors, it's 4 years with their coach. So you would think that they know each other pretty well, but as you're about to see, that's not always the case. So Chris McGee and coach over here quizzed Portland senior guard Bryce Presley and coach Eric Reveneau about each other, and they asked the hard-hitting questions.
Coach, first question about Bryce. What's his favorite TV show?
Breaking Bad.
Oh, reveal the answer?
Empire. You know who else?
Yeah,
Coach
that's
Miller.
mine, because you look a little bit like Lucius. Second question. What is Bryce's favorite social media application?
Twitter.
Instagram.
Oh for 2. All right. Last one, Coach. What is the drill that Bryce just despises the most in your practices? He's almost got it complete. It's a long drill.
Yeah, it is.
Where to score.
Okay. What is it?
Second.
Oh, I second.
Dribble, pivot, pass.
Pivot pass. All right, let's change it over.
Change it up.
Everything over to Coach. And now Chris is going to ask you some questions.
Hey, what's Coach's favorite non-basketball activity?
I gotta say, spend time on Twitter.
Wow.
Hey, that's in a different universe.
Coach,
Twitter,
there's
family?
going to be a conversation about that answer.
That's all right.
Later.
Always on Twitter.
He's always on Twitter.
All right, question number 2.
Is he following us? He better be following us.
Coach follows me.
All right, here we go. What kind of music does Coach listen to?
I think he's like a mix between like classical and like soft rock.
Soft rock.
I was going to go with classic rock as my surprise guess. What about you, Coach?
I was going to go with country.
Okay,
he
let's
looks
see.
country.
Let's see if it's classical soft rock.
Old school rock.
Old school rock.
Foreigner.
Yep. I had a weird feeling. Got to go with this one. What's your coach's most common catchphrase and saying? What is he always saying?
Like something at practice that he's always
Just
blurting out.
always up in your grill with.
He always says to rebound with 2 hands.
Yeah. Well, obviously
That's
the way he
just this
played.
particular team.
All right, reveal it, Coach.
Reveal it.
Oh yeah.
Guard a guy.
Two-banger.
Get better today.
Yeah.
What's a 2-banger?
Just a shooting drill. Guys are shooting, and we got 2 guys shooting. They make both. They'll yell 2-banger.
Two-banger.
Yeah.
That makes
That's
sense.
true.
I like that.
That's
You know,
true.
2-banger.
Good stuff. Portland hoops, man.
Up next on WCC this week, the story of how a football family produced a front court presence for the Santa Clara Broncos. Is Alec Wintering from Portland. The WCC Player of the Week is Alec Wintering from Portland. The junior point guard scored a career-high 34 points in a win against Pepperdine. He also led the Pilots to a win over LMU and the first 2-0 start in WCC play since the 2006-2007 season. Santa Clara's redshirt junior Nate Kratch is emerging as quite the star, not only for Santa Clara, but within the WCC as a whole. This wasn't always his role, though. It wasn't always his sport either. But it's fair to say he's finding his place and consistently growing into the player he wanted to be. Ezra Broder has the story.
The saying goes, slow and steady wins the race. And this tortoise is breaking out of his shell.
One thing that's really helped me develop and to help develop my confidence on the court is with the coaching staff and my teammates. Every day pushing myself, pushing me to get better.
Santa Clara's Nate Kratch is averaging almost 12 points and 9 rebounds per game and shooting just under 60% from the field while starting every game for his team. No other player in the WCC can claim that.
I think a large part of this is due to his work ethic off the floor. He's by far the hardest working kid in the weight room. Consistently, it shows in his body, it shows in how he's able to play, and he's become reliable and become a little bit of a calming influence for us.
That wasn't always the case, though. In fact, basketball's not the redshirt junior's first love. Football is the sport of choice in the Kratch family. His dad, Robert, played 8 seasons in the NFL, winning a Super Bowl with the Giants in 1991. His brother, Colby, was a tight end at Toledo and is now an assistant coach at Michigan State.
After my sophomore year in high school, I decided to quit football to start focusing more on basketball. And a lot of people are kind of like, oh, Nate, you should play both. You shouldn't do that. Your dad played professional football, but my dad didn't really care because he knew how much I loved playing basketball, and he knew that I was making the right decision for myself.
That's because basketball is also in his DNA. His grandmother was a pioneer in women's basketball. Dorsey Anderson Dinkla was a part of the All-American Redheads, the first women's team to be inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2012. They played against men using men's rules.
She would always talk about how they couldn't really dribble and that they would have to pass the ball. The one person had to stay on offense, they couldn't cross half court, so that had to stay on the one side. She's glad I picked basketball. She always watches every game on the internet and always yelling whenever I make a mistake at the TV.
And early on at Santa Clara, those mistakes were made more often than Kratch would have liked.
I think he put himself under an extreme amount of pressure to really be good right away, like most competitive kids do, especially one coming from an athletic family.
I overthink things, kind of get down on myself.
So where did he turn for advice? A story from his dad's football career, when he missed an assignment on a field goal attempt that ultimately cost his team the game.
At that point in his career, he was kind of stressing too much about playing professionally and trying to prolong his career. I said after that, he just started focusing more on things that mattered him to the most, just trying to play fluidly, freely, and just trying to have fun, because someday that's going to come to an end for him. So he was just trying to enjoy the moment and just take it a day-by-day basis.
I think now has really settled into his own body, his own game, to kind of let it come to him a little bit more, not force the issue, and obviously the results are speaking for themselves.
The Minnesota native is the elder statesman on a young Broncos squad, and in his junior season, he's now leading by example.
A leader has to bring the energy and the focus every day and help motivate the guys, even when you're not feeling the best, you're tired, sore, or whatever you have going on in your life. I think I've gotten a lot better just playing more fluidly, not overthinking, not getting too hard on myself, just trying to have fun every day with my teammates.
I think there's an understanding of what it means to be on the floor and compete day in and day out, and I think that's probably had the biggest influence on why he's been able to get to this point.
For the WCC This Week, I'm Ezra Broder.
Thanks, Ezra. All right, Nate Kratch and the Broncos take on the Portland Pilots in today's WCC Game of the Week. That's coming up next. In some other WCC action, Gonzaga and BYU will both face road tests today, while St. Mary's tries to improve to 11-0 at home this season. Quite a test for everyone. Coach, let's talk about our Game of the Week. I mentioned it's Portland and Santa Clara. We just got to know Nate Kratch. What do you like about his game and what you're seeing from him?
Well, he's 6'8". He's hard-nosed. He's a relentless rebounder. Right now, he's 42nd in the nation in offensive rebounding.
All right, so on the other side of the ball, what are you seeing from Portland that has impressed you so far?
Well, they're playing so much faster and they're shooting threes, and this is because of their good guards. Their spacing and penetrating kick game has been so impressive. Marshall has the green light. They're averaging 25 three-point attempts a game, and then Bryce Presley, he's shooting 47% from behind the line. This has really been a fun team to watch, and they still have that personality of Eric Rebno. They're going to have fun shooting it, but when it comes down to the end of the game, they're going to defend and get stops. They've got a really good start. Let's see if they can get it going in conference play.
Yeah, Coach Rebno gets those guys to buy in for sure. All right, that is it for me and Coach here in Los Angeles. We'll get you back to Barry and Casey at the Levy Center right after the break.
Full court press kind of sped Gonzaga up a little bit. Let's see if they can do it again this year.
All right, and then we're in San Diego for LMU. Pacific will be at BYU, a tough test to be sure. And then BYU here at Santa Clara, and Santa Clara seems to play its best against the best teams.
They really do. Santa Clara has struggled. I feel like they're one of the most unlucky teams in the WCC conference play. They're 0-3, but they're a lot better than their record indicates.
Yeah, 8 of their losses have come by 8 points or fewer. So, that really has been a key for them, I think, and they play very well against good teams. Let's talk about this game and what they have in front of them today, and talk about your X factors in this basketball game.
When you talk about Portland, you got to first start with Alec Winterman, who's really enjoying a beautiful start to his junior season. He's little at only 5'11", but his game is huge. He leads Portland in minutes, points, assists, and steals, and he's coming out back-to-back 30-point games. But Barry, it's more than numbers to me. He's my X factor because he controls tempo and he's willing to take big shots.
And for Santa Clara, of course, we talked earlier about Jared Brownridge, and I don't know that you can really even say that he is an X factor perhaps in this game, and I know you'll have your reasons, but he's the picture of consistency.
No, Jared Brownridge is their go-to guy, but they need more balance on Santa Clara, and they're trying to search and find that guy. Can KJ Fagan, the freshman point guard, be that guy for them? That's why he's my X factor for Santa Clara. He's just a freshman, and he still has a long way to go, but he's getting better every single game. In his last 2 games, against the conference best two teams, arguably, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. He stepped up his game and he averaged 14 points and 6 assists. And he seems to play his best against the best, and he's going against Alec Wintering tonight. Can't wait to see that matchup.
No, it should be a lot of fun. Let's talk a little bit about Portland. They went into the USF game. They scored 62 points in the first half of that game, and then all of a sudden the ball just wasn't going down.
Barry, they scored 95 points on the road and lost. They allowed 107 points by USF, so certainly Eric Revenau's got to be talking in that locker room about how we can do a better job in the second half of getting stops.
Most teams, you know, when you get into this part of the season, they're playing an 8-man, maybe at most a 9-man rotation, but Eric Revenau, he's playing 11 guys a minimum of 10 minutes.
I think he's still trying to find the identity of this team. They came in last year with Valdi Garoon and Thomas Vandermars. Those two guys have graduated, and now they're a more perimeter-oriented bunch.
And for Kerry Keating and the Santa Clara Broncos, they've been close. But close, of course, is just not good enough.
No, unless you're playing horseshoes or hand grenades.
Exactly.
In basketball, it doesn't get it done. But they've been very competitive, and we expect a very close game today, don't we?
I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. So this is our first West Coast Conference game of the week. Portland making a house call on the Santa Clara Broncos. The Broncos coming off a win, and the Pilots coming off a very tough loss. So that's the setup. It'll be Portland and Santa Clara when we come back to the Levy Center right after this commercial word. Don't go away.